Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Danielle Gray. I am a manifestation and mindset coach, transformational teacher, and spiritual mentor here on the interwebs. And I thank you so much for tuning in for another vlog episode of our relocation to Nicaragua. So we are now on episode 6. The first 5 I recorded while we were still home. We left Vancouver via YVR on September 9th. We landed in Liberia, Costa Rica on September 10th, and we have now been in Nicaragua for 2 weeks. It is September 23rd at the time of recording this. And we are settling in just fine, I'm happy to report. So I'm going to use this episode to kind of go over the transition and kind of our experience so far. And then in another episode, I will talk about the experience of living off grid, because that's a whole experience in itself that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Nicaragua. In this case, we're off grid in Nicaragua, but that's not necessarily the case for everybody who lives here. So we landed in Liberia, Costa Rica at 12:30-ish on Saturday, September 10th. And the border process was super easy. Like, we deplaned, we got through, essentially it's passport control. And actually, it's funny, a lot of the Costa Rica airport looked almost exactly like the Cabo airport, kind of small. I don't know. I don't think they have a ton of flights going in and out of there. Everybody was very nice. We had return ticket information just in case, but nobody asked me for it. I even offered it to the passport control person, and she didn't want to see it. So that was fine. So I just ended up canceling those tickets again. We got through the border, through the Costa Rica airport border, and then waited for our bags. Turned out one of our bags didn't make it. And fast forward, literally, I just got it yesterday. So I went 13 days without my bag, and the bag that didn't make it, of all of our bags, had all of my clothes in it. My sandals, all of our hiking shoes, my husband's gym shoes, his running shoes, although it turns out he's probably not going to wear those too much. My son's hats, some of his clothes, but for the most part, it was all my stuff. So that was gong show number 1. Right out of the gate. And I'm disappointed in myself, but I'll be honest that my gut reaction was to go into stress mode, because at the time when we first were notified that we didn't have the bag, or when we first figured out we didn't have the bag, I couldn't remember what was in each bag. So I was trying to, most of the drive to the Peñas Blancas border, which is the Costa Rican Nicaraguan border, most of that drive, which is about an hour and a half-ish, I was stressing about what was in that bag and what are we going to do and da-da-da-da. So I'm not proud of myself, but I'm also human, and that's what it is. So my husband and I decided just before we got to the border, we're like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. It will get to us eventually. And I did feel way worse. There was 2 other people who lost their bags as well. Well, we didn't lose our bags. WestJet just didn't put them on the plane in Toronto, which is exactly why I didn't want to go through Toronto to begin with. But anyway, otherwise, we had a really good experience with the whole flights. Our son travels like a champion. He slept most of the first flight, which was overnight, and then he slept majority of the second flight. And then he also slept in the car from the airport to the border, which was awesome. So he was actually pretty well rested, which was excellent. But anyway, so these other people were only staying in Costa Rica for like a week. And the people at the airport said, well, your bag will come in the next flight to Costa Rica, which on WestJet, they only come in once a week right now. So like, one guy had a custom surfboard made that he brought with him to Costa Rica to surf. Actually, it turns out he was actually going to Nicaragua. We ended up seeing him at the border again, into Nicaragua. And he was only staying for the week. So his surfboard literally went home with him on the plane. So that's really annoying for him. So like I say, at least we were actually staying, and I could figure it out. And ultimately what we ended up doing was going to a couple of little shops that ultimately sell secondhand clothes. And I got, like, at one shop, I got 3 pairs of shorts and a tank top for literally $10 American. I could not believe it. I thought she was calculating it wrong. And then I thought maybe I calculated it wrong. But yeah, $10, and they're all in good repair. And it's funny, one pair of shorts that I ended up buying are like plaid Abercrombie and Fitch shorts. And the funniest part of that is I had the exact same pair of shorts in blue coming in my bag that we were missing. And now I have two pairs of shorts the same. So I knew that they fit well. And I got one pair is like Old Navy linen shorts, which are really comfortable. And another pair is like really adorable Forever 21, like flowy shorts. It kind of looks like a skirt. So it all ended up working out. And I got a pair of flip-flops for a couple of bucks. And I just bought a quick little spaghetti strap tank top because I needed something. All I had was bathing suit tops. Thankfully, I had underwear stashed in other bags. So that was like my biggest concern, was finding underwear. So at least I had underwear. I had a couple of sleep t-shirts stashed in other bags as well. So I could sleep comfortably. I had clean underwear. I had bathing suit tops. All I really needed was shorts, because what we wore on the plane was hiking shoes because we wanted to wear our heaviest footwear. And I had like yoga capri pants, it's just way too hot. So anyway, finally have my bag. It finally arrived yesterday, finally wearing clothes that I actually packed and brought with me, which is excellent. I have learned, here's a tip for anybody traveling to Nicaragua, staying in Nicaragua, doesn't have laundry. You absolutely want to have this quick dry, like Lycra based fabric. It doesn't breathe as well as cotton, but you will thank yourself when you are doing laundry and have to dry it outside and you want it to actually dry. I have found, of the clothes that we did bring with us, my husband and my son had quite a few quick dry things because my sister-in-law had said to us, make sure you have quick dry stuff because you're gonna thank yourself later. And I can see why, because the other day I did laundry, I hung it out all on the line to dry. And all of my son's quick dry stuff was dry within a couple of hours because the sun was directly on it. The rest of it, I mean, it's still out there from 2 days ago because right now we're in rainy season. So the air is very moist. So if you're not careful, stuff doesn't dry very quickly. So there's that. That's some adapting to get used to. I find that enough people speak enough broken Spanish, English, like Spanglish, that I could probably communicate with them. Thankfully, my sister-in-law has been with us pretty much all of our trips into town, and she does speak Spanish. So that's good. But the language barrier is something that's very frustrating for me because I really don't love having to depend on other people to do stuff for me, especially just a simple thing like communicating. So I actually, and I'm going to recommend anybody who wants to learn to speak Spanish, download this app called Duolingo. I just got the free version, and it's kind of like game-based learning. And it starts off very, very basic, like he, she, you, me, bread, water, woman, man, kid, whatever. And it's really helping me. Like I said, it's just the basics, but I can see how invaluable it will be. And then eventually my husband and I actually have a Spanish level 1 and 2 course that we can study together as well, because I really want to learn the language. I don't remember really being good at languages. When I was in high school, I only took French up until I had to, and then I didn't take a language anymore. And I didn't switch to Spanish in high school because I figured, well, I've already been taking French. I don't know about, the school curriculum where you are, but we're in Canada, the school curriculum, you start speaking very basic French in grade 4 or 5. And then you have to take a language up until grade 9, and then grade 10 on, you don't have to if you don't want to. So in grade 9, when you could start to choose whether you wanted to take French or Spanish or Mandarin or whatever, I just took French one more time because I thought, well, whatever, I've already come this far. I might as well do one more year of French and then I'll drop it. And of course, I don't really remember any of it, but it is what it is. And I don't remember being that good at it, but also that's also like school-based learning. And like, if you get it wrong, you get punished basically, right? It's not punished, but you know what I mean? So I have different motives to learn a language this time. So I'm hoping that makes a difference. We'll see. I have found that I know enough basic Spanish, and I guess some of the stuff from French helps too, that I can kind of pick out I can kind of get the gist of what people are talking about, but I cannot communicate backwards. Like yesterday I was able to at least say, lo siento, no habla español, right? Like I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. That I learned from Duolingo. Well, no hablo español, I already knew, but lo siento is I'm sorry, which I liked. So that's one thing. The language barrier is definitely a challenge. I'm very, very thankful for my sister-in-law because I would be very stressed out if I wasn't able to communicate with people. One of the first things we did was go and get my husband a Nicaraguan-based SIM card for his phone. I've decided I'm going to keep my Canadian number. There's a couple of reasons. I have like all of our banking, our doctor, our loan, everything is pretty much tied to my phone number. And even though I have my phone on airplane mode and I'm just using Wi-Fi, I like to have the option to just flick it on and be able to deal with whatever without having to worry about it or notify a bunch of people that my number has changed. I probably should change my voicemail message to say, like, I'm traveling. It might be a while before you hear from me. Try to send me an email instead. But so we got my husband a SIM card and we signed him up for a contract and everything. But that woman, I don't think she spoke any English at all. I don't think any of the girls spoke English in there. So we needed my sister-in-law there. And that would have been really, really frustrating had she not been with us. So again, very thankful that I had somebody who speaks Spanish. So anybody who's thinking about moving to Nicaragua, I really recommend either learn Spanish first or buddy up with somebody who can translate for you or hire a translator because it's just way less stressful. And Google Translate does work, but it's slow and it's not exact. I have found what I like to do is I translate English to Spanish and then I flip it around to make sure it makes sense of what I'm trying to say. And I actually had to rely on one of my clients the other day from El Salvador. She speaks fluent Spanish and we were dealing with this lost bag situation because what I ended up doing, I'm kind of going around in circles here, but what I ended up doing with that is hiring a service to go and get my bag and bring it to me because we are about 2 hours from the border and then it's another hour and a half plus to the airport. And you have to pay to leave Nicaragua and you got to pay to come back in. And who knows how long that's going to take. And the only reason it was not quite the gong show it could have been when we went through is because I was using this service that translated and helped and everybody knows each other, right? So when the border sees the people that they recognize helping bring people in, you're going to get less questions, right? So, or less hassle just in general. So I hired that same service to go and get my bag for me. Anyway, so I was trying to communicate with this guy back and forth. He doesn't speak any English. So I could have used Google Translate, but I thought it's going to be way faster if I can so I sent my client a message and I said, this is what I'm trying to say. Can you translate it for me? And then I just copied and pasted what she said to him. But back to the border thing for a second while I'm thinking about it. Again, I'm so glad we had somebody who spoke English and Spanish because that was a gong show. We ended up having to, so you go through the Costa Rica side, find out the bag's missing. We were picked up by a guy and the service we used, I really liked because the service we used, he is very well trusted. Actually, this guy, a lot of people use him, but he makes sure that he has pictures of us. So the driver knows what we look like. And he sent pictures of the driver to us. So we knew what he looked like. So there was no chance of the wrong person picking us up so far, this is a very safe place. I haven't seen anything like sketchy going on, but obviously that can happen anywhere. So I like that added level of protection. Anyway, so we know what the guy looked like. He had a sign that said Danielle Gray on it. We got into his van. He helped us load up the stuff. And then he took us we drove, like I said, an hour and a half, hour and 45 to the border. And you should see the lineup of trucks. Like, I guess it makes sense. To go anywhere from South America, there's trucks going through Nicaragua from Panama, Brazil, like anywhere in South America, Costa Rica, through Nicaragua up to, Honduras, El Salvador. Like it's the only way through if you're going to be driving. So of course there's a line of trucks and some of them are there. Like one guy said that some trucks will wait like 5 days to be inspected. So I don't know. Freight must take a long, long time. So anyway, we drive by, it's like kilometers and kilometers of trucks. It was just ridiculous. And they're kind of parked onto one side. So the traffic kind of has like 1.5 lanes to pass back and forth. Anyway, so we get to the border. He unloads our stuff and passes us off to another guy. He puts all of our stuff in this like horse cart wheelbarrow thing. and he takes us to, I forget the order it even happened in. First, you have to go through one building and show your passport. Then you've got to walk to this other building and show your vaccine card or your negative PCR test results. Because of course we're traveling in the age of the C word, right? I just want to go and show. Go ahead. And then my son's asking for milk. And then you have to go into the immigration building. And this is where, thank goodness, we were with somebody who does this regularly, because when we first walked in, the guy who was helping us, Miguel, I think his name was, he didn't recognize anybody in the booths, because of course everybody is greasing everybody else, and everybody, has their buddies that they work with and they recognize, and it's a whole thing, right? So he didn't recognize anybody. So we were going to have to wait in the regular tourist line. And then I guess the guy, I don't know if he was security or what, at the door, knew the guy who was helping us and knew one of the ladies in the booth. So he told our guy to go to the lady that he knew, and they coordinated it all. And so we went through her. But so this is our first feel of how it works in Nicaragua. And my sister-in-law warned us about this, but it's funny to see it in action, because we're in the middle of doing our immigration paperwork. She's asking me what I do, what my husband does. She's asking us, like, if I had to ask for time off work, things like this, right? And then I don't know what was going on. They were all speaking Spanish. In the next booth over, like, these two women are in one booth, and there's this woman and her family trying to come, seemed like back into Nicaragua. Like, it's, from what I could pick up and see what was going on, it looked like they were Nicaraguan trying to come back home from Costa Rica or wherever. And the woman that was helping us didn't like what was going on in the booth. I could tell by her face. She didn't like what was happening in the next. Just give me a minute, okay, please? Just give me a minute, Dominic. Just 1 second, okay? The woman who was helping us didn't like what was going on in the booth next to us. So she just stopped helping us and just sat there and kind of glared at the woman next to her, and the woman trying to immigrate in, and just like, she just stopped totally helping us. And then the guy that was helping us said, okay, well, you can pay her, because it's like $13 each person. So I had to give her $39 US. And I put the money down. She just did not care. She was just like, she was determined to listen to what was going on in this conversation. And I don't know what ended up happening, but she didn't like it. It was just kind of funny. And I was telling Sasha about it. And she's like, yeah, that's just kind of what it is. It's not like in Canada or the US when customer service is number one and then anything else going on is number two. It's very much, I'm going to do what I feel like I want to do, and the customer can wait. It's kind of funny. Anyway, it only really mattered to me because it was effing hot in this building. Like, there was no air conditioning. The fans, I don't know. It was very hot. Dominic was getting very frustrated because it was hot. So anyway, then you go through there, bags through the x-ray. Then you have to walk now further to meet. My son's getting himself cereal, sorry. And then you've got to walk further over to the people picking you up. And that was really nice. And then my sister and brother-in-law met us there and had drinks waiting for us. And so we cheersed in the car. And then it was so nice to finally be on this side of the border. Anyway, so then we drove, the hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever to where we are now. And I'll admit, some of the time during the drive, I was looking around and just seeing how different everything is and thinking, oh my God, like, we're going to live here. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if I can do it. It's like dirt road, and it's, there's just shacks and huts and things. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I don't know. But I was also very overwhelmed. I hadn't slept really in a couple of days. There was just a lot going on. So I felt much better the next morning. After we went to bed and got up the next morning, I did feel much better. Anyway, so when we got here, we kind of put our stuff down. I really didn't have any energy to do anything, except I did want to open the bags and see what we didn't have, because if anything we needed immediately, I wanted to go figure that out, right? So we opened up the bags, just kind of get an idea, a feel for what was going on. And we had pretty much everything we needed, like I say, except for my clothes. So I was actually super grateful for that. As annoying as it is, I was glad that I was really the only one inconvenienced by it. Because it's just, it is what it is, right? So my sister-in-law offered, she's like, do you want to go get a couple of things right now? And I was like, no, honestly, it's fine right now. Let's just hang out. Let's go get some dinner. Let's just, call it a day. So we ended up going to a place called the Beach House, right on the beach, as you can imagine. And we had sushi, which it wasn't bad, but it wasn't Vancouver sushi. You know what I mean? Like if you've had sushi in Vancouver, you know that it's very delicious. And the sushi here but they're not Japanese. I mean, some of the people in Vancouver making sushi aren't Japanese either, mostly Korean. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They did a good job, honest effort. It was still good. It just wasn't I think one thing that I'm really learning is you have to really remove what you know to be true about the world when you come here and let it be something new. That's really something that I've come to realize in the last couple of weeks is just the world doesn't operate this way anywhere else. And it doesn't operate that way here. Like it just doesn't. And so like one of the situations we're dealing with currently is trying to figure out how we're going to get money down here. Like we did take cash out, obviously, but we were advised not to travel with too much money because you don't want people asking like all these questions. Like, why do you have all this money? What are you planning to do with it? How long are you planning on staying? Like, what's the, because when you first come in, they just give you a 90-day passport, tourist visa, right? So he's being very independent right now. So excuse the shuffling of plastic cereal bags. We're in a very space efficient home. It's 450 square feet. I'm in the living room right now. That's the kitchen. That's the dining room and pantry. And then around the wall is the bedroom and the bathroom. So it's very space efficient. But there's really no way to get actual quiet privacy. So unless my son is outside playing, which he was until he decided he wanted some cereal, which is good. He's being very independent and getting his own cereal. Really the only way to have it quiet in here is if I'm by myself. So anyway, I am thankful to have Wi-Fi down here. I am thankful for technology. So that's all what it is. Anyway, yeah. So just, we're trying to figure out how to get money down here. And when we left, we bank with Bank of Montreal right now. And we asked the woman, we made sure, how do we get money down there? She said, okay, you can global transfer, which is kind of like an e-transfer in Canada. You can global money transfer. It's free up to $3,000 a day. I'm sure there's a weekly limit too. You can do that, or you can do, wire transfer of any amount, $25, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, perfect. So one thing I regret, I wish that we had tried to send a wire or a transfer or something before we left. Like I wish we had sorted that out before, because one of the gong shows this week was my husband in our second week here. He wanted to go see this vehicle in Hinotepe, which is like, on the map, it says it's an hour and 47 minutes, but in reality, it takes about 4.5, 5 hours to get there because the roads are not paved. A lot of them, they're not even. People don't drive the same way here that they do anywhere else. And there's constantly traffic gong shows. And there's like literally some people are driving horse and buggy, right? Like literally. So it just doesn't operate the same way. So anyway, it's a long, long drive. So they went out to look at this vehicle. And I was trying to arrange to have the money in my sister-in-law's account, because we don't have an account yet, obviously, before they got there, so that if it worked out, they could buy it. Because I didn't want them to get there, the vehicle works out, and then we couldn't pay for it. And then we have to do the whole thing again. We had to rent a car also, because the vehicle that my sister and brother-in-law have is priority business stuff. And my brother-in-law could have potentially needed it. Now, he ended up not going anywhere yesterday. So it turns out they probably could have taken their vehicle, but who knows, right? And if the vehicle had worked out, they would have had to stay overnight, because all the paperwork and stuff that's required after that takes some time. So they would have had to stay overnight and then come home on Friday, and then who knows that, right? Anyway, ultimately the vehicle did not work out. And I'm happy that it didn't work out, because the vehicle was no good and not because the money didn't work out. Because anyway, it turns out that I'm not 100% sure if it's just the woman we're dealing with at the bank or if it's actually not possible, but apparently global money transfer to Nicaragua, not actually possible. And I understand, like, I spent 5 years working in banking, so I understand there's a lot of anti-money laundering things going on, and Central America is, I mean, obviously known. Central America, South America, Mexico, all that, like, they launder money. Not all of them. I don't mean to like group everybody together, but I just mean like everybody knows it happens, right? I mean, there's money laundering going on in Canada too, let's be real. But anyway, it is what it is. So I understand, it's just frustrating. So then we tried a wire transfer and it got rejected within a couple of hours. And because what I'm trying to do is go directly from Canadian account to the Nicaraguan bank account. The other option, which definitely will work, but it's just extra time and fees, is to go from our account to my sister-in-law's US account, and then from the US account to the Nicaraguan account, which means you're paying wire transfers twice and you're doing the whole thing. So anyway, that's a nightmare. I wish I had figured that out first. My mom banks with TD, and it sounds like she's able to send a wire transfer directly to Nicaragua. She called some customer service line and asked a bunch of questions, and they said that they think they can do it. So she's going to try on Saturday to send some money down and just see if we can do that. Because if that works out, I can just get in the habit of transferring money to her and then she can wire it back to me, basically. It's just not ideal, right? Like once we figure it out, it'll be okay. It's just this getting sorted part that's kind of frustrating. Anyway, so those gong shows aside, being here is amazing. The people, for the most part, are very nice, very friendly. The weather is so amazing. We've had a thunderstorm almost every day, which is really cool. Mostly at night, which is also really cool. I love a good thunderstorm at night. Like yesterday, it didn't thunder or lightning, but it did torrential downpour for about 15 minutes, and then the sun came back out. It is very hot. It is very hot. I am very glad to report that the casita that we are in was built very well. It's built out of concrete, so it's not very hot in here. The fans we always have on low, 1 for airflow and 2 to prevent mold on the clothes, because of course the humidity helps create mold on things, right? We've already had a pair of shorts and a hat go moldy, but we're working on rectifying that. I don't know if it's possible, but we'll see. The shade of the pergola over the patio is very, very nice. I spend most of my time hanging out in the shade. Derek has a very serious tan because he's been helping the gardeners and various people do things outside. He also did some pipeline work already, helping my sister-in-law is in the middle of putting a laundry room on the back end of the casita. No, thank you. Putting a laundry room on the back end of the casita. So he was helping hook up all the piping and stuff for it. Because nothing really happens quickly here either. This is my son, Dominic, who's decided he's going to come say hi. Hi. And can you rinse your bowl out, please? So he's been busy helping. So he's got a serious, serious tan. We have also averaged a beach day about once every 2-3 days. We've checked out, I guess we're averaging about 3 days now. We've checked out about 5 beaches so far. The first one was a paid beach. Now the beach itself is public access or public, to use, but all the access to get to the beach is owned by some American guy. So you got to pay, I think it's like $3 a person or something to go down this road into the beach. Well worth it. The beach is very beautiful. You can surf there. Dominic, please don't. Okay. You can surf there. There's a little restaurant there, and we got chicken fingers for Dominic, but they were actually really delicious. And you can get drinks and whatever else there. A bar. Dominic, please don't. Thank you. Go find Dad, okay? Apologies. And then the other beaches we went to were free to get to. We've kind of been heading out around mealtime. So we've been trying to hit beaches that have access to restaurants or bars or whatever as well. So we've been to Playa Hermosa. We've been to Marseilles. We've been to Remanzo, which Remanzo was really amazing. And we had the best chicken burrito ever at this little hut on the beach. So good. We went to Playa Mahagua. Mahagal. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that was our favorite one. It was like being inside of a postcard. I really wish that the pictures and video that I took would do it justice because it was so beautiful. So the beaches are so amazing. The water is so warm. The water is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit or about 28, 30 degrees Celsius. It's unreal. I could not believe how warm the water is. It's like having a bath. So you can just go right in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Most of the beaches we've been to so far have very, very nice, soft, fine sand. Ramonzo had some rock as well, but totally doable. No, thank you. What else? The rain is warm too. Like obviously, if it's so warm outside, the rain is warm as well. So I need that cloth. Pass me that cloth. The rain is really warm too. So you don't have to worry about like, if you get caught in the rain, it's not that big of a deal. You just keep going, right? With your day. Like yesterday, I was taking out the compost and it was pouring rain and I got soaked, but it was whatever. I'm just wet outside. It's not a big deal. Not like in Vancouver when it's freezing cold and you get like chilled to the bone, right? There's a nice breeze up where we're kind of up on a hill mountain. I'm not really sure where we are. I don't have my bearings straight yet, but it is cooler up here than it is in town. I will say that. We've been to several good restaurants so far. Nobody's got any kind of food poisoning. My son did get sick one morning, but I think it may have been because he had leftovers that I had left in the fridge, and maybe just some of the native bacteria here just didn't agree with him. It really wasn't that bad. It was mostly just spit he puked up anyway. Just TMI, sorry, but
no, it was puking.
Yeah. And what else? The wildlife. So most days, actually, I think every single day, we're woken up by howler monkeys, which are, we've learned since then, since we got here, the loudest animal on the planet. And you can, like, actually, I'm not just making that up. I'm not just, it's like a fact. And you can hear their calls for up to, 3 or 4 kilometers away or something. I think it might be the way that the sound travels too in the jungle. Anyway, we are deep in the jungle. Also, the parrots like to wake us up. The bugs at night are very loud, the grasshoppers and crickets and whatever else. The grasshoppers are huge. One day, they're like literally this big. It's unreal how big they are. I have not seen any huge spiders. I've seen spiders, just not any huge ones. I've seen some scorpions ranging in size from teeny tiny to like maybe like this big. I saw one cockroach yesterday in the compost. The mosquitoes are very small, thank goodness. I have been bitten by fire ants a couple of times, which hurts like a son of a gun. It really hurts for like 60 seconds. Then it burns for a little bit and then it just gets itchy and then it stops. It's like the whole thing is like maybe 15 minutes and then it's over. Maybe not even, but it's no fun. I don't recommend getting bit by a fire ant. Or an army ant or whatever they are. There's beautiful hummingbirds. There is so many different kinds of butterflies. I have never seen so many different kinds of butterflies in my whole life. And apparently they get even more, there's even more varieties and more colorful and all that in the summer. We're technically in winter right now. In the summer and in the dry season they come. So I'm interested to see that. The monkeys like to come right in the trees right outside of our house here, which is really, really cool. I can hear a kinkajou, but I've not seen one yet. I have not seen one of those yet. There's lizards and geckos and all kinds of stuff. Yesterday there was a big wasp in the house that I got out. Then there was some kind of lizard that my husband got out. Then there was a scorpion that my husband took out. Then after we went to sleep, I found a glow bug in our room. It was literally flying around our ceiling and glowing. So it was nice and easy to find him. That was good. But just in general, the world does not operate the same way here at all. And like my mom she's trying to help me find solutions for our money transfer situation. And she's like, what about Western Union? I've used them in Hawaii and it works really well. And I was like, yeah. But that's first world. I don't know if it works the same way down here. And I also don't speak Spanish. So unless Sasha can come with us to collect the Western Union transfer, I don't know how that's going to work. And I just don't know. I'd rather not. So we have the rental car for one more day. We're going to go check out some things later today. I'm going to attempt going to an ATM and see if I can get some cash out of an ATM. I've heard that that's no problem. So we'll see. I can also take a cash advance on the Visa if need be, just so we have extra cash. I do prefer to operate with cash. That's been for a while. I've preferred to operate with cash or debit card. The one thing I really like about having cash only is and this is just like a general life hack. Having cash, it's very easy to see what you have left. You can literally so the other day I needed to take out $180 for the car rental and $150 to pay the guy for the bag and 50 something for our fruit and veggie delivery. So I just took 3 chunks of money out, put stickies on them for what they were for. And then what was left was what we have left. Right. So I like to operate in cash. As far as I have experienced so far in the 2 weeks we've been here, everywhere, obviously the prices that are shown are in Nicaraguan Cordobas, but you can ask them to show you the price in dollars, and then they will tell you what it is in American. The exchange rate is roughly 35%. So you just take the Cordobas, like if it's 1,200 Cordobas, you just divide by 35, and that's what you're going to be charged in American dollars. It's divided by 25 for Canadian dollars. So that's something I keep forgetting too, is for us, it's kind of two different things, because I like to keep track of what we're spending in Canadian as well, because all of the money we have saved for our move and in our accounts is Canadian, obviously, right? So that's interesting. Anyway, so it's been a bit of an adjustment. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday was very stressful with the banking and the vehicle and the whole thing. This whole week has been a little bit much. I was trying to get back into my work routine this week as well, which is going okay, but I've got a couple of projects that I want to finish. Like I started creating a Living My Best Life planner, which I've pre-sold several copies, and I'll leave a link down below for you to pre-order as well, which I'm very excited about. It's going to be so awesome. It's all about how you can step into your most aligned self by really taking a step back and looking at who you identify as and who you need to be on a daily basis, right? Because it's our habits and our behaviors on a consistent basis that create the life that we're manifesting, right? Like it's one thing to want something, but it's another thing to actually take actions in that direction. And a lot of the time, actions in that direction need to be different than the habits we have currently, because the habits we have currently have created the life we have currently, right? So anyway, I'm really excited about getting this planner done. Excuse me. But I'm finding it challenging to sit and work on it. One, because there's so many things going on. Second of all, because we are kind of at the mercy of my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. When they need to go into town to get something, we kind of piggyback and go get like groceries and stuff. We've already run out of groceries one time. That was kind of frustrating. So we had to go out there one night. Derek had to kind of miss dinner because he had to go out with Jeff to go and do that. So until we have our own vehicle, we're kind of at the mercy of what everybody else wants to do. And quite frankly, it's been kind of overwhelming. Like I do think I'm handling it really well, but at the same time, it's overwhelming. There's this, like I said, this place is totally different. Like the climate is different. The people are different. The scenario is different. Where we live, like you cannot just walk somewhere. You can't just walk to the store. You can't walk into town. Like even when we were in Maple Ridge, when we had sold our vehicle, it might take you an hour, but you can walk into town, right? Like you could walk, or there was like a grocery store about 15 minutes away. There was a coffee shop, 10 minutes away. We could walk way up to the Tim Hortons at, Dewdney Trunk and 240th and back in 2 hours. But you could walk it. Here, there's no way. It's way too far. It's way too muddy, and it's way too hot. Like there's no way that I'd be able to carry enough water to keep us hydrated for the walk. There's just no way. Even when it's shaded, you just can't. So when we don't have a vehicle, we're kind of stuck where we are, which is not the end of the world. This property is beautiful. It's 7.5 acres of jungle. It is absolutely stunning. But you are kind of stuck here unless you, and I don't drive standard. There's a motorbike that I can't drive because I don't know how. And then there's, the vehicle is standard. So it's not like, while Derek's helping do something, everybody else is doing other things, I can just take the vehicle and go run errands. Like I can't I don't know how to drive standards, which is something else I'm gonna have to learn, I guess. So it is a little bit isolating in that way just for now, which is a little bit frustrating. But even if I went into town, I don't know what I would do because I don't speak Spanish, right? So it is an adjustment. It is an adaptation. It's definitely a journey. It's definitely an adventure. And so I'm just giving myself, space and a grain of salt to like give myself what I need to adapt, because old me would really push myself to just get things done and get it out there. And, especially this planner that I'm working on. But on the other hand, this planner that I'm creating really has the potential for those who use it fully and consistently. It will change your life. It will make you very aware of your habits, and it'll really tune you into the you that you want to become, right? It will really help you align to your ideal self so that you are living your ideal reality. And I don't want to create that from an energy of rush or stress or anything like that. I really want to create it from a place of abundance and high vibe and more than enough, right? Because the energy that I create it with is the energy that it goes out into the world with, right? So I'm really mindful of that. I am almost done. Like, it is almost done. I will have it done by the end of the month for sure. It's just, I wanted to already have it out. So there's that. And I'm putting on a workshop on the 1st and 2nd of October about embodiment as well, which will be a really good companion to the planner. But again, I haven't had as much time to plan it as I would like. And I very, very honestly, I may end up postponing it. We'll see how much I can get done between now and then. But yeah, so we're adapting. One thing I will say that I really, 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 really love about Nicaragua so far is they love kids. Everybody seems to love kids, like not in a gross way, but like a respectful, like kids are awesome kind of way, like lots of patience for kids. And there is a lot of kid and family friendly things to do. Like, for example, there's a resort called Tree Castle Resort, just literally down the street from us. Every Wednesday, it's like family pizza night. So you don't have to order pizza, but they only serve pizza on Wednesday. So if you want pizza, you have to go there on Wednesday. But Wednesday is also family night, which means normally you would buy a day pass. I think it's $25 US per adult, and kids 6 to 11, it's $20 US. But $20 of the adult $25 pass and $15 of the kids $20 pass is actually, you can redeem for consumables. So you basically take that as credit towards menu items, which is nice. I do like that. So really it will only cost you, like if you were going to eat and drink there anyway, it would really only cost you $15 admission, right? But on family day, they don't charge the day pass. So you could potentially go there, swim and leave and not pay anything if you didn't want to eat or drink or anything. So I like that. There's every Saturday morning, there's an art class at the Art Warehouse for kids, which is cool. Dominic did the first Saturday we were here, he did a tie-dye shirt. And tomorrow he wants to go and do, they're painting bears or doing some kind of bear painting tomorrow. He wants to do that. We've also found a thing called the Kids Club, which we haven't checked out yet. Because again, it's going to be easier to do that when we have our own vehicle, or at least can set some kind of schedule with the motorcycle so that we for sure can have it to send him to that, because he's excited about checking that out, hang out with some more kids. And he's been making some friends at the different beaches and stuff. But because he's being homeschooled, it is a little bit harder, we're finding, to have him regularly socialize. Thank goodness he's very independent, and thank goodness he's very mature for his age. So, and actually my sister and brother-in-law have given us a lot of compliments on how, just on how well-behaved he is and how adaptive he is and how independent he is and well-spoken and all that. That feels good. And I think that he's adapting really, really well, which is good. Yeah. So overall, we're adapting really well. It is very, very different, but at the same time, I'm so glad we did it. So glad. It's like we're at home already, like as soon as we got here, it just feels good. The only thing that I find kind of weird is how it gets dark at the same time every single night. Like it was summertime when we left, and it was getting dark at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And now it's summer weather, but it's dark at like 6. So it's just kind of bizarre. But anyway, and it'll be like that all year round. And the other thing is people are all sharing on Instagram about their like fall decor and all this. And I'm just like, summer for me. I don't know. I'm in eternal summer here. I'm not going to fall decor anything. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, we're adapting well. I thank you for hanging out with me. In a couple of future episodes, I'm going to talk about living off grid and just, adapting to the way of life here, more specifically with living off grid. And I thank you for hanging out with me. And while you're here, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the little thumbs up button. And then while you're clicking buttons, you might as well subscribe so that you're, subscribe to the channel. And then you might as well hit the little bell notification so that you know when a new video has become available, so you can stay tuned in to the vlog and join us along the journey. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it.